Criterium, so congratulations to them. Stick around, we got our men's race coming up next. They're already queuing up to go on to their call-ups, so we're going to take a look at how we got here today to our third stage of the 2025 St. Francis Tulsa Tough. We started on Friday night at the McElroy Group Blue Dome Criterium, and then we jumped right into the FC Tulsa Saturday race, and then we are going to go right into the call-ups for today. We're going to take a look back at some of those during our race so you guys can see what's going on. Welcome back. I'm Gabe Lloyd. This is Daniel Holloway, and we are at the third day of racing for our 2025 edition of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. We are at the McElroy River Parks Criterium, better known as Crybaby Hill. We just wrapped up our professional women's race where Riley McMullen took the win. An amazing ride. We're going to take a look back at that shortly, but before we get there, we got our men's race coming up. We have an absolute battle for the Omnium overall. We started off our 3 days of racing on Friday night at the McElroy Group Blue Dome race, where we saw a fantastic battle to the finish. Dario Raps, your German national champion, jumping over the top of Teckers late in the lead out, and your German national champion riding a huge gear all the way to the finish line. Jordan Parra unable to come even in the final 75 meters, and Dario Raps takes an emphatic win on Friday night to claim the first stage of our 3 stages in our 3-day Omnium. On Saturday, we jumped to the FC Tulsa Arts Group Criterium, and again, we saw absolute domination by DCC. Team Cadence tried to work it for U.S. national champion Luke Fetzer and Lucas Burgoyne, but it was the Germans from DCC who took over at the front of the race, riding absolutely huge numbers on board to make sure that they got themselves to the finish line. Coming in late as they come up by Sound Pony, we started to see some huge turns at the front. Dario Raps describing the lead out by his teammates as unreal when he was talking to Brad at the finish line. Here you can see the final kick to the line on the right side. Alec Briggs takes a death-defying exit from being cut off. Meanwhile, at the front, Dario Raps dives through the final turn. Danny Summerhill, who won in the past here, unable to come even in the finale. And Dario Raps then goes 2 for 2 in our 2025 Omnium.
Yeah, just absolutely stunning finish. DCC is on a roll. They won in Armed Forces. They're carrying all that momentum here into Tulsa. You know, they are in a prime position with Dario Raps to make history. Go 3 for 3 at Tulsa. That's never been done before.
We'll see what happens. Dario Raps, let's listen to what his reactions were to those 2 wins on the past 2 nights.
I can't even describe it. I never thought that I'd win such a big race. You guys are awesome. This atmosphere, I never could imagine that. It is so amazing. Oh my God, and I'm so happy. Yeah, that was just so, I didn't expect it to win today, honestly, because I didn't feel that good, but I was so surprised how strong Jonas Schmeisser was. So my teammate, he made a lead out. I never experienced that in my life. And thank to him, I won today, really. I just thank you, and thank you to the crowd. You're awesome how you cheers. The best spectators in the world.
Well, let's jump on board with Dario Raps in the finale. As we come through, you can see these huge watts that these guys are pushing. Great to have all this data available to us. Raps, as they make this right-hand turn, this is the moment when this lead out really begins.
Yeah, and you can just see the power fluctuate from big power to zero, and that's just Dario really being perfect and saving these micro instances so he can move around. He's doing a really good job protecting the position. You can see Cadence really setting the tone. Brody McDonald sneaking under, which is somewhat okay at this point. It gives another body for his teammate to take a run at. He's small gaps, so he keeps momentum out of any kind of danger. Summerhill there, and there goes his teammate launching an massive sprint. Keeps Dario around that 1,000-watt mark. Again, he pushes wide, kind of pushes everybody out to give Dario space. Look, he's coasting. Again, that's just a micro recovery you need as he goes in. Small acceleration here into the final corner. Coasting, coasting, coasting. Straight on the pedals very early, just outside 150. And you can see that he gets close to 1,400 watts and holds 1,100 all the way to the finish. Just absolutely incredible. But the finesse there is through that lap, watching this data, is you can see where he finds these moments to recover. Get his power down, coast, take a breath. That all adds up to be able to hit 1,400 watts there in the last 150 meters.
Your Omnium standings after 2 stages. Dario Raps going 2 for 2 is your outright leader with 62 points. Danny Summerhill, Legion of Los Angeles, bumps into second with 48. Jordan Parr with Biker Cycling Team in 44. Brody McDonald into 4th. Dushan Kalaba in 5th. Ryan Gomez in 6th. Clever Martinez in 7th. Juan Orango in 8th. Eric Brunner, your cyclocross specialist, in 9th. And Evan McQuirk in 10th.
Yeah, so very interesting GC dynamic here with the points. Dario's got 14 points in hand. So it's up to Danny Summerhill and Legion to put a lot of pressure, see how deep that DCC roster is, and ability to help Dario and isolate him ASAP and just see how good he is. Make it mano a mano, see how much time and space Summerhill can put on him.
Here we go. We're going to start this final race here as we guys roll out. This is stage number 3 of our 3-day Omnium here at the 2025 St. Francis Tulsa Tough. Thanks again to John Zink for those flares to add a little bit of panache to our start-finish truss this year. I'm Gabe Lloyd. This is Daniel Holloway. We're in the Zico broadcast booth, and big thanks again to Quick Trip for bringing us all of the broadcast action. Weather here today, I think it may be something to talk about. Right now, it is 93 degrees. It feels like 95, but if you look out on the horizon, it's starting to get a little dark. That could be a factor.
Yeah, down here in the south in Oklahoma, you can see that dark sky. It can move quick. I mean, before we know it, that can be here, and it can be torrential, and it can come in a heartbeat. If none of the teams really took that last second look at the radar or any kind of forecast, and they're running dry weather pressure and a system comes in, 5 psi can make a difference. 10 pounds, is ideal. So may play a factor. We'll see if we can get a radar. Any kind of storytelling there that might come late in the race could be a factor.
And remember, this is bike racing, not Formula One, so there's no inters that we can swap on if the rain starts to come. There's no different compounds. Well, there are, but all those decisions have to be made before the race even begins. It's one tire, one wheel selection, and all of that has to be calculated before we even get going. We've got an early leader here from Cheney Windows and Doors, I believe, trying to get themselves onto the old broadcast as we got ourselves a bike race, and it looks like Corey Williams of Golden State Blazers also trying to get away and get himself on some airtime here for our Quick Trip broadcast here at the St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
Yeah, I mean, 2 guys that aren't even the GC, haven't factored in the results, whatever, and riders that don't have a pedigree of time trial or breakaway specialists. I believe that's Owen Gillett from the Cheney Windows and Doors team out of St. Louis there with Corey Williams following him up. I mean, if they're going to make this last any bit, Owen has to coast a few seconds, allow Corey to get there and share that workload. If not, it's going to be it's not going to last that long, to be honest.
Let's take a look at this course here today. It is an infamous one. It looks very simple on the old graphic, but trust me, it is not very simple. Daniel, walk us through the nuances of our McElroy River Park Criterium.
Yeah, we have Riverside Drive that takes us up into the bottom of the hill down there's a bit of a bump, so if anybody is wanting to shift to the little ring, they need to do well before that part, and then it is a pinch point. So when the race is slow and people are fighting for position, there's going to be a lot of swarm that can happen. Summerhill has been caught out. We saw a crash in the women's race in that pinch point as people get close. So it needs to be fast, or you need to be in position, or something can happen. Then that corner at the top is tight, and when it's full-blown attack, it is not a corner you can pedal through. It is something you have to take well, right when you're going very fast. Continues to kick up as we see the lettering where those 3 arrows are. Road crowns. Then there's a small descent into another big bump. It rises into the second to last corner right before the feed zone. And then it goes up just ever so slightly again into the very short, steep downhill, which is the only point of just pure coasting recovery. And then it's right onto Riverside as we're seeing now, and it's just over 150 to the line. And if you're in the back, the front is accelerating. Again, there's no chance to recovery. So it's very key in the top 10, 15 or the only ones getting recovery as you see that DCC rider coast. But if we look at the back, everybody is putting out 3, 4, 5, 600 watts to make up or hold position. And that just accumulates over time. So that's why you don't want to ride in the back in a course like this.
Our Omnium is going to dictate a lot of tactics here. Dario Raps going 2 for 2 with 62 points. Summerhill in second with 48. Now, historically speaking, we've been doing this 19 years here. And in the 19 editions, we don't think that anybody's ever gone 3 for 3, including Daniel Holloway.
Yeah, or Skylar Schneider for that matter, Brad Huff, a lot of legacy riders that have been here. It's been, again, it's so hard, so tricky. It's a long weekend. The course is ultra dynamic. The Omnium GC comes into play. Riders start thinking about that more than they do the win. I know the one year I had one year here in my 17 years of racing where I had the potential to win this one. I didn't back myself. I was focusing on the Omnium, and I let it get away from me.
You gonna get back in there?
Nope. Well, hey, I won't speak too soon.
Okay.
Malcolm did give us a little Easter egg for 2026 20-year anniversary of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough, and also the 100-year anniversary of Route 66. I don't know exactly what that means, other than, it's Route 66. It's a huge highway in North America. So never say never. I hope my wife isn't listening. But, I would say it's a tall order, a big thing. So I'll let it maybe somebody else.
We'll let it simmer.
Yes.
We'll let it simmer. We'll see what happens.
But here we see it playing out a really big gap. 3 riders. I believe that's Robin Carpenter up the road. And we'll see if we can get another shot. So Robin Carpenter, Jim Brown, and an Empire rider.
So we got a little separation early on. If that's Carpenter, that plays directly into the tactics that we thought we would see. Carpenter was one to watch for this Jim Brown, is also part of this. These two part of the Williams Racing Development Program. And then Luca Haynes from Empire. Carpenter, definitely a rider that can roll this thing, and I think that's going to be really important to watch. But super early, this gap can get ridden back really, really quickly. Well, we're in the early stages of our race here. We're joined in the booth by none other than our executive director of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough, Mr. Malcolm McCullough. Malcolm, welcome to our Zico broadcast booth. How are you feeling today?
Tired.
It's like
that every year.
It's like you've got an Omnium. Yeah. Your own little Omnium that you have to do every year, right?
It's a mixture of tired and amazingly energized by this crowd around here. Every day it's been like that. I think, I thought we reached Crybaby Peak some number of years ago, but I took a trip up there a little while ago, and I think we're not at Crybaby Peak.
You guys do so many activations throughout the weekend. You have like fondos and other kids activations throughout. You're up at the crack of dawn and up very late making sure everything's taken care of. What are some of the things that, if somebody wants to come visit St. Francis Tulsa Tough and they're not an elite bike racer, what are some of the things they might be doing?
Well, all of our downtown areas are pretty amazing. Even, we get a lot of people that come in town and don't even bring a bicycle.
Yep.
So the event itself has become a magnet for just social activities. But then, of course, we have the Fondos both days, which is really a pretty amazing experience. The kids' rides this morning, the kids' races on Saturday, and today I always have the great pleasure of starting the Williams County ride on Sunday. It's a 6-mile ride. We put a rest stop in the middle for the kids. I think we had 200 or 300 children out there today, and this one little girl was the cutest thing in the world. She was on a strider and wearing a little pink tutu.
Oh, wow. I love to hear it. That's so cool. And then, so you have that activation, and then you also have these Aeon Fondos, right, and all that?
Right, the Aeon Grand Fondos, and we have so many different elements within each Fondo, but, each day they get to go out and ride, come back, and get a free meal from the McNelly's group, and it's just an amazing time to just bond, enjoy the countryside, and, have fun on bikes. You heard Brad Huff talking about our new men's group earlier today, Project Dude Man, and what Huffy has been preaching to all of us, and we've adopted it. We're believers. Just ride your bike, dude.
Just go ride. Just go ride. Get out, pedal. I mean, I know in my career there was times of struggle. Things were really difficult in those days that I did just go ride. It's amazing how 20 minutes can just change your day, change momentum in your life, get it in a positive direction. So absolutely back that program. There's no better ambassador for that than Brad Huff and everything that he's done and will continue to do, and his personality is the perfect leadership. So when I saw that announced that he moved to Tulsa, began to make this home, it is just absolutely amazing for this community here, and I'm happy to see it.
He's lived it in, and he's authentic about it, and a really passionate disciple for cycling, for mental fitness. You've seen those T-shirts probably like I have that says, "My bike is my therapy."
Yep, absolutely.
And that's a complementary program to the Divas program, which has been going on for a number of years now, and they've got satellite locations in Indianapolis as well as here in Tulsa, right?
It's so amazing. We started the Divas program 13 years ago, really just as a way to facilitate women adopting cycling as part of an active lifestyle. Women are active just as much as men. You see them out in the marathons and half marathons in 50 to 55% of the field, but it hadn't been that way in cycling, and we just didn't quite understand it. So we started the Divas program to try to break down some of those barriers, make it a welcoming environment, and really create an atmosphere of acceptance and joy, just pure joy. And we've had over 250 women a year run through the Divas program each year. Recently, Indianapolis opened their own chapter, and I think they have about the same number.
Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's really very cool. Where can people learn more about these programs if they want to get involved?
Well, for us, of course, all information is found at Tulsatough.com. All of the information on Divas, Project Dude Man, St. Francis Tulsa Tough, our fall Osage Passage gravel event, all things Tulsa are found at Tulsatough.com.
Awesome. Love to hear it. We're going to jump into the race real quick. Malcolm, don't go away. On course right now, you got Jim Brown with the red helmet for the Golden State Blazers. Right behind him is Robin Carpenter of Legion of Los Angeles. These two jumped away on the second lap right now, trying to bridge across to them. One of the smaller squads on our racing roster here today, but nice to see him taking this opportunity very early, because this is a race of attrition. We saw in the women's field that only about 20 finished of the 103 starters. So we're going to see a lot of attrition today. Weather will be a factor. It's in the 90s. Everybody's going to need to be taken on fluids. The feed zone is going to be open the entire time for the race to make sure that the athletes are being taken care of. And, so we're really trying to prioritize safety for all these athletes here today. But attrition is going to be the story of the day.
Yeah, so very, interesting dynamic going on. We have two races. We do have the GC fight, or protection of, so to speak, going on. And then we have the outright stage win, obviously still up for grabs. Robin Carpenter for Legion is up the road, taking pressure off that team, being a potential body to be there for Summerhill as this race develops, to be there for him and potentially isolate DCC. DCC at the moment doesn't care about this. They actually, you know, in a perfect world, they would like how many ever guys to go up the road that needs to take enough points away from Summerhill to not be a factor. So they're okay with letting 5, 6 guys go up the road in just the ideal world to protect the GCC. And if the race develops into their fashion, into their hands for the stage win, they'll obviously take that into consideration, work that out. But right now, they're just riding the pace they need to ride to keep Dario Raps safe and protected. It's not their onus to bring this back for the stage win per se. There's a lot of other teams, clearly everybody else except for DCC, that hasn't won anything. So there's going to be a lot of other people that are going to have to put their face in the wind to bring this back if they want a chance at the win and or podium.
This can be a tricky course as well, because I think riders are somewhat intimidated by it. And I remember a few years ago when I first started here, there was like this trickle effect on this day. You start off with a group like this, and then onesies, twosies start to jump across. Before you know it, you have 9 or 10 that are away, and they actually, if they're cohesive, they could really set and maintain a gap.
Yeah, and it's a strange thing, because as those 1s and 2s go across to that move, 3s and 4s go out the back. So it's just like, did they bridge across, or did the things in the back just melt? It's so hard in the last 5 laps here to watch how fast this group whittles down. And as we start to look at it, the temperature is at least ambiently, you know, dropping. Clouds are coming in. Malcolm, you're a local. You've lived here a very long time. You've seen all weather at all times. As you look to the horizon, what is your local feeling? What is your skin telling you in terms of what can happen in the next 50 minutes? Is this course going to get wet? Is it going to throw an absolute curveball into this group?
It's going to be very close. It's going to be so close. This would not be one the Vegas odds makers are going to put odds on, because it's very touchy. I think we're going to, so far it looks like we're going to skirt it, but Tulsa weather can change in a snap of a finger.
And I've been here during, I think it was 2014 maybe, where a similar situation is that it looked all clear. We started racing, and I think it was the last 5 laps, the course started getting wet. This final corner became insanely tricky. UHC went down, and then all of a sudden it became a triathlon. It was just one guy going as hard as they possibly could for 2 or 3 laps. It was absolutely wild.
I remember that year very well. And as you well know, Daniel, the descent, when you come on the Riverside Drive, it's very tricky and visually incredibly intimidating from the top. When you come down, the road actually does open up quite a bit. Now, throw a little water on that?
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yep, absolutely.
On screen here, we have on the left side our leaders with Robin Carpenter and Jim Brown. On the right side is your full peloton. We're going to have multiple different cameras working on the peloton side where we try and make sure that we show you. Now, we're also going to get you the official gap, but look at this trickling across. It's going to be Team Cadence Cyclery trying to get themselves across to this move. And then
that would look like Bueno and then Eder Frere. So, if that goes across, Legion's going to have 2, Blaze is going to have 2. Cadence is going to finally have some representation early in the race, which they have completely dropped the ball on this whole weekend, this far into the race. So at least they're doing something a little different, representing that team and program early in this race, but it's all back together.
Yeah, it's welded back together. Hey, I have a question for you, Daniel. So I'm noticing the cadence of Raps right now. It's really low. And they did a social media, DCC Alpecin did a social media post a few days ago about like these mega gears that they're riding. It's clearly proven to be successful in the first 2 nights. But now we have Crybaby. How is that going to affect some of their fatigue today?
Yeah, it's just different. It's no matter if you ride like kind of a high cadence or low cadence, you're going to have fatigue in the legs. But if you've trained that low cadence torque, low cadence power, your system is trained to handle that. And that's just where they want to, focus, how they found self-efficiency with the physiology of that program and what those guys prefer to ride. In courses like this, sometimes having these low cadence, kind of longer contractions, if you will, under kind of low to moderate power help actually keep circulation going if it's under that lactic threshold. So these guys are probably in the high 300s, low 400s. So even if they're riding at 300 watts, under these big contractions, it's actually helped clearing lactic acid, actually getting blood flow for recovery, rather than if you're doing really like 100 watts at a high RPM. It's just a different thing. You're maybe not clearing as much as you would want. So sometimes it's good to have a little bit of tension in the legs if it's under lactic threshold.
$200 premium has added some action to the front of this race here as we start to lift the tempo up. It looks like Michael Garrison, I believe, with that purple top, white bottoms. And we'll get a corner cam to see who is with him. It's going to be Zapata of Biker Cycling Program. So Garrison on the front, Zapata right behind. And these two definitely have sprints, very different kind of sprints. Zapata comes from a mountain biking background. He's also a Pan Am champion for Colombia. And so he's got a very explosive sprint, whereas Garrison has shown maybe a slightly longer sprint. Look at Garrison maybe allowing Zapata to come to the front here as we come down onto Riverside Drive. Do you think Garrison's going to take a run at the wheel?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Why not go for $200? He's got the ability. And he's also, it's an opportunity for Garrison to kind of look at the competition, how they're going to go through the final corner. Garrison's got really good bike handling skills. Obviously, Zapata does via the mountain bike as well. And Garrison looks that he's, looking for an ally, not to upset the apple cart, but kind of maybe he's that confident. Give him the gift.
Yeah.
Keep him motivated. So as they rotate, this is a long attack in Garrison's mindset. So he's definitely looking for an ally. This is kind of he's extending the hand first. And so when he looks for help later, if this thing continues to go on, it's like, hey man, let's go. I gave you this gift. Let's keep it rolling. We're not going to fight each other. I'm not going to fight you until the very end.
Interesting tactics there. Okay, so Michael Garrison and Juan Pablo Zapata away right now. Let's see where the field is behind them in a few moments' time. There it is. They've got a bit of a gap right now. So
if I look into the details here, Garrison is a guy that rides a an Insta360, a big camera on his bike to get the content. He's taken that big unit off his bike and he's riding the Insta360 Go, the small, very small, lightweight camera. So he's looking to optimize today. He's not looking to just hang out, create content, create chaos. He's optimized his weight and his setup in today. So he's capturing stuff, but he's like, how can I do that in a very efficient, marginal gains type way? So that black thing on his chest is an Insta360 Go 3, I believe. But so it's, again, these small details, that I have an eye for because it's something I paid attention to. But if I was racing and I saw that with Garrison, I go, he's taking this a little more serious than other events by just making that same equipment choice. We see some of the other teams are probably still carrying the full-size cameras.
Malcolm, what's your hot take right now? Do you think that this is going to be a breakaway day or a field sprint day?
Oh, man.
What's a field sprint? How many guys is a field sprint?
Yeah. What's a 5 field sprint?
That's a great question. I mean, usually we have less than half the starting field able to even finish this race. So is that the field?
Yeah, I mean, we have 130 starters, I believe, so.
You won't have 130 finishers.
Definitely not. No, we've already lost a few here as they're going right to the after party in front of us. Oh. What do you think, though? We're going to be looking at a select few at the front?
It's going to be very interesting. I know that Dario has definitely made a fan club in Tulsa. So many people are in town are cheering for a three-peat. It's never happened here, and I don't know. I think the odds are probably against it, but he's a happy guy. He's got those joy watts going for him.
They have nothing to lose as a program to just go all in for that. And if it doesn't happen, they walk away with an incredible fan club here in Tulsa, a second home probably, if you will, and 2 stage wins. No other team's going to be able to walk away and say that. So they're technically in a win-win situation. Unless something absolutely catastrophic happens.
They kind of do have a second home here in Tulsa because one of the Tulsa residents here has been putting up the entire team of 12, including all their support staff, for the last 3 years.
Oh, wow.
At one house.
That's incredible.
Big action on course right now. You saw Garrison taking the feed, but also 96 is Richard Holak of the Team Cadence Cycler. Holak is an absolute beast. I mean, he squirted right across that thing, or a punch across, whatever. That's like a Wanarongo move. Right, very experienced, jump across immediately out of the saddle. He made the junction within 300 meters.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, just perfectly timed. It's finally Cadence at the front of the bike race early. It's taken them a couple weekends to finally do this, so it's good to see that program get some timing right. It's still a little frustrating from my point as a fan and all this to see both the national champions hanging out towards the back of the field. They're just opening themselves a lot of liability and getting caught behind something silly and waste a lot of energy. But at least the team's represented up in the front. Now it looks like Preston I from the Flickr team doing a lot of work. Again, individual rider, he needs to not do this. He needs to do what Hollick did and just pop across.
Yeah.
If he wants to be there, but don't just sit on a full turn on Riverparks.
Riverparks should be your recovery zone.
Yeah,
right.
Doesn't make any sense.
Today's been a really hot day already, and the feed zone's been open the entire time. You see the water being thrown at some of the riders, and we're going to roll that back with a quick trip replay, and you can see Zapata taking the $1 and. Garrison maybe not taking a sanction feed there, but
it's a light.
It's a PBR. Pabst Blue Ribbon is official sponsor of Crybaby Hill this year. All right.
So
nothing says dive bar like PBR and Crybaby Hill.
So we can already see a lot of attrition happening out of the field. It's as we sit here on the final corner, we can see it. It's a couple riders every lap gapped off, not able to make it back onto the field.
Garrison going for those dollar preems and then already creating the gap, making it look pretty easy. I mean, I remember Arts District last year where he was really flirting with accelerations and whatnot. Last night he kept himself in check, but right now he's now looking at floating away from his two breakaway compatriots early on. Are we seeing a repeat of last year's Arts District?
What he's doing is kind of shoot himself in the foot by overriding the breakaway, overriding his companions. If he's that strong, take some longer pulls, not harder pulls. If he does this, it's just going to wear these guys out, discourage them to continue to rotate, and then just kill it. So don't be that guy that just toys with these two guys on and off for whatever reason. If he's really looking for allies to make this a long range thing, or man up, hunker down, put the watch down, and just go solo. To do it like this is not the most efficient way to do it.
So it looks like we're going to be coming back together, but I agree with Daniel in that you got to make friends early on in this race. We're now coming into 25 minutes of race time, and Garrison's not really doing himself any favors. Holek is seemingly not responsive in any of this bait, and we're now seeing that Garrison perhaps is going to roll on because Zapata's also not interested. He's got himself a few dollar hand-ups courtesy of our Crybaby Hill. And it looks like another preem being taken up there on the hill. Hey, Malcolm, thank you for having us here one more time in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's such a pleasure to be here every year and to be able to talk about the Super Bowl of Criterium Racing. And do you have any final thoughts for us before we get to the finish line for our Pro Men's Race to cap out our 2025 edition, our 19th year here in Tulsa?
Or Easter eggs for 2026? Anything else?
You keep trying to get that out.
I want to know. The people want to know. They want to book their stays. They want to book their Airbnbs. They want to get their rental cars.
They should book them.
Tulsa's big, but it's not that big. Stuff could sell out.
I would flip it around, Gabe, and thank you guys for spending the time with us, being professionals, the professionalism of the crew that we've been able to assemble and that are coming to Tulsa every year just amazes me. The drone footage this year has been blowing me away. And just the quality of our broadcast, you guys being here in the broadcast booth, Frank in on the stage, of course, and it's amazing. And I mean, as a kid growing up in Kansas, I never thought I'd come down and be a part of a community event that had such a following worldwide and internationally. So it's humbling. It's dearly humbling, and it's a pleasure. I'm proud to be a part of it. So thank you guys for being a part of it.
Well, it's our pleasure and honor to be here and helping to broadcast to the world the cool things and putting Tulsa really on the map internationally because of the coolest bike race in the world. So thank you, Malcolm, for starting this thing off with a cool idea 19 years ago, and we're looking forward to the next 20. So thank you very much, Malcolm McCollum.
Thank you, Malcolm.
All right, we're here. We got a $100 preen lap, and we have two riders away. The rider in purple is going to be Michael Garrison. And as we are quickly checking our weather here in the booth as well, we've got ourselves, there is Robin Carpenter, who is now bridged back up to Garrison. Garrison has had an interesting tactic so far. He may gift this to Carpenter one more time. Carpenter's not going to necessarily fall for it. He almost wants to give this back to Garrison, and he's not going to potentially not take it. There's a bit of a, all right, there's a bit of a beef between Garrison and Legion, is there not?
I don't know if it's a beef or it's tension. It's an interesting dynamic. I mean, Garrison is, such a character. His MO in crit racing is TBD. It's unpredictable in how he's going to race, what he's going to race, why he's going to do what he's going to do. And it's undeniable that he's a massive engine, can really impact races, but how he does it is really unknown. But it's, these two guys, Robin Carpenter and, Garrison, are two guys that if they share the workload, decide to kind of go all into this to the finish, they can do it. There's no doubt about it. And you would kind of, say that Garrison would take that sprint compared to Robin Carpenter.
We got ourselves a situation here. Justin Williams was taken out by a spectator. We're going to roll that back on a quick trip. So Williams is coming down. He was in chase, but we got this guy. Body checks Williams, and Williams comes off the bike. The marshals were trying to prevent him from crossing, but Williams gets hit, and he's now on the side with Ty Magner, I believe. So Magner and Williams taking a minute. Justin Williams appears to physically be okay, but that's got to be a very bizarre moment to encounter as an athlete when you're, already sort of in arrears.
Yeah, just being unpredictable, and it's frustrating more than anything. Justin lowers his shoulder there to defend himself, and you can see that he kind of runs it out in the moment, but you can see that that was a big hit. He's going, that's a downhill, that's the bottom of a hill, so he's carrying a lot of speed, and that was not a small person, so he's trying to figure it out, and that's just so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's really just really annoying.
It's so tough. I think that this is a party, right? This is an atmosphere that we really endorse. We obviously really get into it. We want to really encourage the community to come out, but there's also sort of a respect component for the riders out there. And you can see Justin and Ty now. They have to wait for the peloton to come by, so they'll wait for the leaders to pass. They'll wait for the peloton to come past, and then they'll go into neutral pit, we hope, and hopefully they'll be able to rejoin. But you got to look both ways, or at least look to your right when you're going to try and cross the course here. This is a live race course. It's not fully fenced, and these boys are out here having a good time, but they also are here to race for some money. A lot of them, this is a big piece of how
this is their job. This is what they do for a living. So it's frustrating nonetheless.
And this will be Ty Magner's last race here at St. Francis Tulsa Tough. This is his final season as a pro bike racer for 15 years. He's a former elite national champion on the track. You can see Ty giving a thumbs up there because DCC, Alec was like, how is everything? And they're like, we're good, we'll be back. So Alec patrolling at the front, keeping this in check because Robin Carpenter, their teammate, is in the breakaway with Michael Garrison.
Yeah, and this is, more than ever, this is the right person for Robin to be off the front with. It's somebody his equal that is really not going to fade. Robin is, in races past, has found himself being the strongest guy in a breakaway, and riding it professionally, but when there's guys that kind of slow momentum, there's only so much you can do to raise the pace back up. You start carrying a lot of water, and then it fades. So this is a really good opportunity for him, the right guy to be off the front with.
So to see how this is going to play out here, Carpenter with number 72 and Garrison number 79. These two currently still looking pretty comfortable and setting nice, steady tempo as they ride up and over the top through the party that is Crybaby Hill. They're checking out, seeing any comments or questions. You're going to hit us up on YouTube. If you are on the YouTube channel, you want myself or Daniel Holloway to help you out with understanding something. Feel free to jump in on there, and thank you all for tuning in and watching with us here today. This is the third and final stage of our 2025 St. Francis Tulsa Tough. This is the McElroy River Park Criterium, better known as Crybaby Hill. My name is Gabe Lloyd. This is Daniel Holloway, and we are thrilled to be here in the Zico broadcast booth. And thanks again to Quick Trip for sponsoring our entire live stream. Don Thornton is our official pace vehicle of the series. Harrison into the grass.
What?
Wow. Is there a preem? Why is he doing that?
I mean, again, this is just Garrison being Garrison, taking, I don't even know if that's a calculated risk, just a risk.
Yeah.
Doing stuff. I mean, he puts himself obviously at risk, puts Robin Carpenter at risk, following him like that. It's not for $5,000 preem, and it's not for the last lap of the race.
Take a look at that one more time, I think, as we have a bit of a replay opportunity, quick courtesy of Quick Trip. So Quick Trip going to roll this back. Garrison on the front here in the purple. He sets up for the turn. He's got his weight seemingly okay. He's going for
he just kind of chirps it there as the pavement changes.
Yep, and then he's up. Nice little bunny hop there. This is not actually the first time we've seen Garrison chirp those wheels. If we go back to Friday night, I know we won't have that video, but our memories are going to serve us here. On Friday, Garrison burped his rear tire as well very late in the race. So, I think he's pushing the limits of his equipment here. What was that, an $80 field preem?
Yeah, it's it's strange.
That's very strange. Okay, maybe somebody just walked up with a wad of cash and that's what they're doing there. But, okay, $80. Not sure that's going to motivate the boys to do much here, or at least change. They're not going to fight for it, I'll tell you that much. So whoever rolls through first here, they're going to get that $80 and buying drinks here tonight. We're looking for our field as well, just to see who's on chase, what our gap is. We're 35 minutes into our professional men's criterium on the third day of racing here. Garrison cleanly getting through the turn this time onto Riverside Drive. Robin Carpenter, second wheel. They're right behind. They now have moto officials in front and behind, indicating that the gap is large enough. We now are officially 35 seconds between our leaders and the field. All right, so we've heard this game before, Daniel, have we not? 35 seconds between two riders and the rest of the race. On Friday in the women's race, that gap was brought back in 3 laps on a very, very different course. What are we thinking here today? You think the field is single file right now onto Riverside Drive? Do you think that this field is going to whittle 35 seconds back quickly, or are they going to let them hang?
I mean, it can, but with these two particular riders, the rate of pace change from the front is not going to be as much as it potentially was in that women's race. We saw Grace riding really strong, and then Byron really kind of taking on a lot of water and really kind of killing the momentum. These two riders are such a high caliber and that of the same that these guys, unless they start playing a lot of games, their rate of fatigue is not going to be as much. That pace change at the front isn't going to be as slow. So it's going to be quite a bit more work from the peloton to take time out of this, and it's going to have to be a consistent couple of laps. It's if there's going to be massive pace changes, big head outs, big whacks. Yes, it could take out 10, 15 seconds, but it's going to be such a big effort that the group's going to need to recover. And these guys, as strong as they are going to blow that back out to that around 30-second, 35-second number. So it's going to have to be a consistent, 3 seconds a lap type deal and make it kind of a long drag than just something really fast.
And the math is the same as what we saw on Friday night too. It's going to be 2.5 seconds between, from on every lap. So 2.5 seconds needs to get brought back on every single lap. Right now, this is our FPV perspective on just 35 seconds in visual form between the field and the race. It looks like one rider maybe trying to bridge across right now, but this is what 35 seconds looks like on this course right now. You're not even going to see the riders. This is not Eli of that program, but one of their other riders, maybe Trevor King. DCC now is going to be tasked with doing a little bit of work.
Yeah, if Dario Raps is kind of really saying, hey guys, after 30 minutes of racing, I have golden legs. I'm perfect. I have no fatigue. I can win this thing. Please bring it back. The other team that I think should have a lot of onus on at this point is Cadence. They do have both national champions. They're kind of in a little bit of a dry spell, so to speak, at such a high level that they've got to do something to get Luke and Lucas in the game. And if we get inside 10 to go and the gap is still the same, that task just becomes harder and harder. So they're going to have to, if they want their day here at Tulsa Tough, they're going to have to start putting a couple guys towards the front to bring this down. Bring it consistent, and then ask DCC, hey, we want to go mano a mano. Put a couple guys here. Let's go for this field sprint.
Here's your leader, Dario Raps of the Omnium number 40. So Raps, your Omnium leader right now in that pink leader's jersey. He has won both nights of racing so far. This is your third and final day of racing here in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. Friday night, McNally's Blue Dome. Raps takes the sprint ahead of a very fast field. Saturday, last evening, in the FC Tulsa Arts District Criterium, Raps surprised himself by also taking the sprint ahead of Danny Summerhill. Now today he wears the pink jersey. If he wins today, he would be the first rider in our history of 19 seasons of doing this to win all three stages. Currently on course, Robin Carpenter at the front and Michael Garrison in purple are the two leaders at 35 seconds. They are trying to, they're trying to win the bike race, but if they do, that would prevent Dario Raps from entering history and taking all three stages.
Yeah, we see another three guys in the middle start to chase. That's Eric Bruner, Cadence rider, and a Bikers rider. Could be Arango. So at least, three good guys that if they work together, could make a dent. But Riley Reitzman in the field decides to just tow everybody back instead of bridge across solo.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision there by Reitzman, but Brunner, cyclocross national champion a few times over. He also represents the U.S. in Europe on the national team for our cyclocross program. He is in this race. He's number 30. He's had a really nice weekend so far. That's Juan Arango, number 4 for the biker cycling team. He is an Olympian from Colombia. He went to the Olympics in 2012 in London for that games, and he's also a recent Pan Am champion on the track, qualifying Colombia's Olympic start spot for 24. So talk about spanning time here. Juan Arango in this race today for biker cycling team. Polak is potentially the other rider from Team Cadence, but DCC has already welded this back together. Now this is Arango on the front right now. Will he be continuing on with the effort, or will he go back into the field? Looks like Juan Arango and Brunner checking a look on their shoulders through the feed zone and continuing on with the effort, because I think that they understand the danger here. With 15 laps to go, 35 seconds maintained, the gap that they need to bring down continues to expand. We're now looking at 2.7 to 2.8 seconds per lap that need to be brought back in order to at least be fighting for the bike race.
So these guys are not quite out of sight. I mean, just as the front guys are going through, they can just see Garrison and Carpenter turn up the hill. So that's the saving grace for the peloton, is that these guys on the longest straightaway are still in sight. for them. So it is kind of giving that, ooh, they're still right there, let's keep digging in. But there is a lot of action happening from the peloton. This is the back of the field, just absolutely strung out. That's how hard it is. And there is some gaps starting to open around 20th, 25th wheel in the front, with guys really starting to put the pressure on.
Two riders away, 2.3 seconds per lap is what it takes to bring it back. Got a lot of opinions in our YouTube channel. We must have been gone real time.
What are we hearing?
I don't know if I even want to give it airtime, man. Ain't worth it. Here we go. We got Garrison in purple and white, Robin Carpenter in second. Carpenter is such an accomplished rider, as is Garrison. Either one of these guys can really bring it home. Garrison's really starting to show a little more speed carry through on this transition onto Riverside Drive. Do you think that he's trying to passively fatigue Carpenter by forcing Carpenter to put pedal strokes in onto Riverside?
I mean, I think Carpenter's just giving himself space, right? We saw Garrison end up in the grass. I think it's Robin being a little bit conservative, that if Garrison's going to ride that way and dumps himself, he's going to have space to ride around that.
We got some weather. I think we're going to come up. We're looking at about 93 degrees. Oh my goodness, radar. Here it is. So we can see up into the west and north, we have active precipitation right now. We are in that little bullseye just right underneath Tulsa. We believe that precipitation will not start here during race time, but it is going to be close. This could be a situation where we see in the final lap or two potentially precipitation if paces stay where they are. So hopefully that will not occur. We do not want to see that happen, but rain is approaching.
And what I can say is that just may the rain not hit here, the wind may hit here. You know, the first year that I raced, it was a very, very similar situation where just at the finish, the wind just got absolutely whipping. Barriers were everywhere. So we may not get the rain, but we have the potential to get the wind associated with the edge of the storm.
There's so many factors that go into this movement. We're now up to 40 seconds officially. So 40 seconds at 13 laps. That's going to put us at 3.1 seconds per lap that need to be brought back, and if this field wants to race for the win. So 3.1 is the target for the field to bring this back. Now, if we get into single digits and we continue to see 3+ seconds, we're going to either see a breakaway win or a very dramatic finish. We have seen a dramatic finish in the past so far, and this weekend, I mean, we had such a fantastic finish on Friday night with our pro women's race. It was absolutely thrilling, but not to take away from our men's races, of course, where Dario Raps has won both Friday and Saturday so far, but you're not winning the bike race right now if they are continuing to look at 3+ seconds per lap that need to be brought back. This is a Cliff Bar program. They're not red and white anymore. They've got all sorts of colors going on, and looks like a few teams are trying to get to the front. Luke Fetzer, your U23 national champion on Team Cadence Cyclery, also now participating in the pace setting. Lucas Burgoyne actually did target today. He believes that he has the sprint that can take on anybody in this field,
and he's shown that. I mean, he showed it. You know, last year as he came onto the North American scene from his time in Europe, developing his engine. You know, these guys have come a long way. They have the physical ability. And, you know, some of my frustration is, you know, the guys with these talent, especially, you know, I'm just such a believer in the Stars and Stripes that you've got to do it right by being at the front of bike races, showing it off. The team sponsors put a lot of time, energy, and investment, you know, into a program that, you know, that needs to be, you know, represented at the front of bike races. You know, specialized Cadence Cyclery, you know, all those sponsors are putting a big investment into the sport, into the program, and so, you know, it's, you know, I'm just a passionate guy. You know, I believe in these guys. They're young, they have the ability, they've got the personality that this sport desperately needs right now, and showing it off at the front, I think, is way more fruitful than showing it off at the back. So, these guys can impact the race. I mean, we saw that last night with the turns that Luke Fetzer did to right the ship for that program. And so I just want to see that energy used at the front of the bike race.
That was a great visualization of what a 40-second gap looks like from the FPV. We just to cut down onto Riverside Drive, though. This is a $100 preem as an attempt to try. It's a $100 crowd preem, but I'm not sure if it's a $100 field preem. Either way, there's $100 on the line. Did not affect the breakaway at all. We'll see if it affects the field. Fetzer coming through, but strangely enough, nobody's really working with Fetzer. Like, even Techers and Golden State Blazers they're behind, but they're letting Fetzer sort of take a big gap, and I guess I'm surprised. I would like to see more teams contribute to actually fight for a race win here today.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, the delicate balance, right? DCC, when there's gaps opening. I mean, that's just the pace that Fetzer is putting down right now. But, and how much pressure is that putting on DCC as a whole? He would definitely, Luke would, at least needs another teammate and another team or two to at least put one guy up there, start rotating at this hard pace to make any kind of headway, or get it to that 10 seconds, 15 seconds. That's a bridgeable gap. That can evaporate very quick here in a short matter, and we've seen that happen before, where we get it into that thing, and then the field just starts going bananas. Things go crazy, gaps start opening, and that rate of attrition is super, super high. So Fetzer definitely needs some help. I mean, he's a strong boy. He can sit out there for a couple laps, but at some point he's going to need some help, either from his teammates or some other riders. But we can see at the back here, gaps are starting to open. Or that Matt Stevens on the left side has called it a day. Bikers, guys are feeling it now at this pace.
Yeah, so attrition starting to come into play here. And now Techers on to the front here. I believe that's Bostock.
That's Ollie Wood.
Oh, that's Ollie,
yeah. Bostock is number 100 right there on the left.
All right, so Ollie.
Eder Frere is following that move, which is another guy on this course. Absolute weapon for that Blazers program. Tolley right there, number 78, rehydrating.
Why
I'm
not?
impressed he's made it to 10 to go, to be honest.
Okay.
Good for you. the myth of Tolley.
So Ollie Wood, he's an Olympic medalist for Great Britain, and he's a two-time world champion as well, I believe, for Great Britain on the track. He is racing with us today. Matt Bostock is probably their protected sprinter. Alec Briggs is also here today. He defied death last night in the Arts District Criterium. Late on, if you go into our Instagram at Tulsa Tough or onto the YouTube channel, you can see a replay of last night's final sprint for the pro men. Where the bike handling skills of that. But now let's take a look at a screen. Brody McDonald frustrated.
And it's Dario Raps on the wheel. Like, he doesn't have to take a turn. His teammates have done a lot of work to keep him protected, keep the pace moving in a way to keep him safe. But he has clearly motivated. He's clearly on really, really good legs. Taking some ownership of that leader jersey to show off the hard work of that DCC program. Summerhill's behind him. We are getting note in the receivers that there are raindrops somewhere on the course, or really in the vicinity here. So this whole thing could be turned upside down in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, storms around here, they have a lot of wind associated with them, which is what Daniel was talking about earlier on, and sometimes they can pull some of the raindrops across. So while the actual color on the radar is not directly above us, we're already starting to feel the wind drop some of that precipitation onto us. That's going to make this turn that you see Garrison and Carpenter going through right now become particularly precarious. And now we have some of our friends right outside the Zico broadcast booth talking about precipitation that they can feel. So we are going to see a dynamic shift here, and we are going to be in a position where this dynamic could completely shift. Now, I do think that actually lends favor to the break, though, right, with 40 seconds.
Yeah, it gives them a little bit of room to be conservative through the corners, not have to push as much. But they're not going to be able to carry as much minimum in this bottom corner, which means it's going to take a bigger energy to lift coming out of it. So, yeah, it's good for them, as they don't have to be as risky. The raindrops in the field, though, it's going to say to everybody, oh my God, it's going to be wet. I want to be at the front. And it's just going to kind of naturally make the pace faster as people are going to start fighting for position. And maybe we might see some attacks to try to separate that thing as the weather goes out. And guys that have really good bike handling confidence want to create some high pace and some gaps to start rolling.
Ben Tushner of Techers now taking over a little bit of pace setting. I was saying earlier on in the broadcast that we were thinking that would be the final lap or two, but it turns out that it was actually with 9 laps to go where precipitation begins. So you can start to see some spectators walking around, taking a little bit of cover here as we start to feel that precipitation coming in. You may not, it's hard to actually see on the screen right now, but it is going to begin. There's a weird moment when precipitation hits the pavement for the first time, right, where some of the oils that are in the asphalt start to bead up a little bit, potentially causing some dangerous situations. So hopefully that will not occur. We've had a lot of rain here the past 2 nights, but thankfully racing so far has been dry, and hopefully any of that potential asphalt debris has already been cleaned out. We're looking at 45 seconds now. 45 seconds with 9 laps to go. 45 seconds now with 8 laps to go. So 45 seconds, 8 laps remaining. Field preem of $200. That's Brad Soner and Frankie Andreu on the front.
No, we're looking at more like a 25-second time gap.
Okay.
It's clearly they're on the same straightaway as the leaders. So, yeah, definitely well under 40, so 25 to 30 seconds.
Still a 3-second gap, 3 seconds per lap that needs to be brought back, though, right?
Yeah, but again,
that's a big difference between 25 and 45.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got Techers, setting a really consistent pace here to kind of chew just, again, even if it's 1 or 2 seconds per lap, and again, if it gets it into that 10, 12-second range, that's going to motivate a lot of people to, try to bridge across. It really makes that island crossable. And
this is your leader in the Tulsa Tough jersey. That's Dario Raps, number 40. He's your German national Criterium champion. He is chasing one of your Techers riders who's trying to bring back this gap for probably for Matt Bostock. In the breakaway situation in purple is Michael Garrison, and in the Legion of Los Angeles kit is going to be Robin Carpenter. These two have been away since lap number 2, and so we're now going to be looking at these two now coming down the hill with Garrison on the front, setting up for this turn, railing through the turn. Nice and smooth there for both of them. Now we're going to take next lap we'll take a time split here, but the motorcycle's already here. So I think that we are definitely looking at about a 25. Now we're under 20. We're under 20 unofficially, because that's just my math brain.
Yeah, and again, this is, the strategy of Techers having multiple riders and just kind of doing this, hey man, kind of go as hard as you can and, kind of waste yourself. And a couple teams have the players to do that. And if they all kind of agree, yeah, this gap can go away pretty quick if each team commits to just burning one rider of their multiple riders here in the finish. And now you can see the pace is just unrelenting. Look at the back of the field. There is just gaps opening everywhere in that.
So at the front of the field, these now your 2 leaders going up and over Crybaby. The pace is starting to lift, though. You can see Garrison now pushing more power through the pedals. Earlier on, Garrison was staying in the saddle, right? So the rider with the white shorts, purple top, staying in the saddle, staying seated. He's now we're officially down to 15 seconds, apparently. Is that what you had, Daniel?
Yeah, plus or minus. I missed that lap on my stopwatch.
Okay.
But you can see the fatigue. I mean, Garrison's shoulders are starting to rock. His hips are there. Robin looks pretty good. But he's always just an incredibly smooth rider. But he's got his head on him. Look, he's going for some, he's going for some nutrition. And it's 7 laps, but that's like 15 minutes. So that's kind of like, again, at the limit of taking on nutrition and it still be functional. Other than placebo. Yeah, and as we look on
the
peloton
on the right, the field is very small right now. We had 130 starters here this afternoon for our McElroy River Park Criterium, better known as Crybaby Hill, for the 3rd and final stage of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. We have your 2 leaders onto Riverside Drive or River Drive already. Riverside Drive already, and here comes your field. And here it is, so being led by Eder as they come down onto Riverside Drive.
It's about 23 seconds with my inaccurate finger. So it's come down. Teams are definitely starting to put guys on the front saying ride, 1, 2, 3 laps, and that's the end of your race. We need to get this into 10 seconds.
We've got a third screen on our desk here that you guys can't see, but it's our live radar app, and the color on the radar is definitely getting close. So that could change. We sort of back into my original thought that we would see precipitation on the final 2 or 3, which could absolutely be a game changer for something. We've had such exciting racing here all weekend long. We started on Friday night at the McNally's Group Blue Dome, and last night at the FC Tulsa Arts District, finishing out with the Riverside Drive McElroy River Parks Criterium. This is your peloton right now. They are about 25 or 20 seconds adrift of your 2 leaders. Your 2 leaders are Michael Garrison and Robin Carpenter. There they are. So Garrison in the purple, Carpenter in Legion of Los Angeles light blue. Dollar hand-ups trying to be gained there.
He's trying to make up for all that money that he gave away as premiums, just $1 at a time instead.
What Daniel's referring to earlier in the race, Garrison was allowing other breakaway companions to take $200 and $100 premiums at the line as an effort to show goodwill and to get some collaboration with him. He is a solo rider. He has no teammates out here, so he had to make friends out there, and he gave away some premiums, and now he's trying to make up for it by grabbing $1 or $2 at a time. Either way, we're going to see Garrison looking very comfortable, as does Carpenter.
And I like how Carpenter's riding this 2-man breakaway. He's found himself in a position to, recover, be in the draft on the flats, and doing a longer turn through the hill. He controls the pace, but it also is a time where they both have to do pretty much the exact same workload, as the draft is more or less null and void. So, he's getting recovery on the flat on Garrison's wheel, and then as you see here, they're doing the same work. So Garrison's on the wheel, but he's not getting the same recovery that Robin would be getting on the flat. So, if they keep doing this, Robin has really done a good job in where he's placed himself in the rotation to get true recovery in this 2-man breakaway versus Garrison.
Yeah, he's controlling on the climb, right? So that wasn't actually an attack by Carpenter. It was really just him making sure the speed stays the same from lap to lap. And as the fatigue sets in, you have to start finding power in different ways by getting up out of the saddle and trying to keep that speed the same. Meanwhile, here back in the peloton, you can see Jim Brown of the Golden State Blazers, who was in the original breakaway of the day, trying to lift the tempo a little bit. Looks like
for Brody McDonald, this is that time where, again, it's time to just kind of lay your cards out on the table a little quick. Jim Brown, if he does a kind of an all-out thing for a lap and a half, and then Caden sends a rider or 2 up there to do the same thing, this will get it in, close enough that, Bourgogne could take this. Again, he called this out as one of the ones. This is a course that suits him. He's a sprinter, he's a fast guy, but last year he won on Easton, which is not a flat course. It's hard, it's very taxing, it's technical. It's in the same vein as Crybaby Hill in terms of needing the whole skill set to do well. So very much a course suited to Lucas. He's just really kind of needs to ask his team to really step up now with 4 to go, get that gap much closer, so everybody else gets instinctively starts sniffing the actual win. Right now, all they're smelling is a podium, which, Dario Raps isn't really interested in. Techers, would love to see a win here this weekend.
Yeah. Techers definitely came all the way from Great Britain to get themselves a race win. They didn't come here just to finish on a podium. They want to be on the top step, and they are going to work hard for it. Garrison starting to sit up, try to get a little bit of movement, and you can see Carpenter just keeping an eye on him right now. But Garrison starting to show maybe a little bit of exposure on fatigue, perhaps. He did that right in front of Carpenter.
Yeah, Garrison is such a character. You just don't know. He could, for whatever reason, just be over it, or he's just taken a lap and a half or 2 laps easy to set out for a really big whack. But now if we really look outside of the booth, you can start to see the rain in the sky.
Yeah.
You could see all the spectators looking up, for the rain, looking for cover. But it's definitely oh my gosh, where'd it come from? But it's now in the air, and you can see it. You can see it on the ground.
Yep.
I don't know if our cameramen are going to be able to highlight some of the drops on the rain showing it, but the pace cars have it. Are going to put the windshield wipers on here soon.
we're going to be getting it here in a few minutes time. So we are going to start to see precipitation with 4 laps remaining, 4 to go here for our final day of racing with the St. Francis Tulsa Tough. This is Crybaby Hill, and we got Michael Garrison and Robin Carpenter away. They have about 25 seconds. They at one point in time had it up to 45. You can see now the dynamics, big speed difference for them on that last time around, because they can feel that precipitation. And these guys know that the first lap or two of precipitation are very different. Here comes the big train, though. This gap has definitely come down. It's going to be Techers on the front with Team Cadence. They're gingerly making it through there. Eder Frere is going to try and keep that pace up, and Dario Raps is also up near the front. These guys in the breakaway need to continue on with that pace setting. Michael Garrison needs to commit to it, as does Carpenter, because look at that. They're now in the same frame.
First time we've seen them in the same frame, all race. So in the front, it's we can now look at that photo. You can see the rain. It's coming down. It's not even a sprinkle. So it's going to be that decision. I think it's most likely for Garrison with his these guys are 10 years apart in age. Garrison to take the risk either through this bottom corner into Riverside, that it's going to be his moment to kind of go all in, trust his bike handling ability to make it through the last 2 laps. Or they're just going to kind of ride it out, and here it goes. But
yeah, this race is
splitting apart.
This race is detonating right now, and these guys are out of the saddle trying to find any ounce. Fetzer is off the back right now, so Burgoyne no longer having Fetzer, his key lead out man. But we need to keep an eye right here on our final turn. And we have now lost our drone coverage because of the rain. Drones can't be flying in the wet, so we're going to be looking just at corner cams, which is just fine. We have a great team on the ground here.
Doing a big effort to close that, showing his ability.
Bostock wants to just get through this and then ride over the top.
Brody McDonald, Bruner, cyclocross guy,
yep.
He probably feels the raindrops and goes, ooh, I feel good. I feel at home. When things get slippery, he's going to rise to the top with bike handling ability.
Here we go. The gap is basically about 3 seconds at this point in time. Carpenter leading through this turn.
Oh, you see the slip.
And Garrison onto the grass. He lost it. He's back on. But so did Bostock.
Bruner.
One of these riders down. I think that was a Waldo rider that went down. There you go, Waldo. You get yourself a shout out for being on the old TV here finally.
But Eric Bruner, look, Clever Martinez, first time we mentioned him all day. Brody McDonald doing a big chase. Clever's going to be super crafty. That gap opened between Carpenter and Garrison. Now it's just, again, similar to that year I talked about. It's just going to become a time trial. Briggs is trying to come across, make the pace super high.
Briggs is one of the best bike handlers out here, as we saw last night when he defied death on the Arts District. And we're looking at Carpenter now hitting out by himself. Garrison in chase. Carpenter is now just out for himself because he knows in this instance that being by himself, he can carry his own speed, own pace, and more importantly, his own line. He needs to carry his own line through every turn in order to maximize his opportunity right now as the rain starts to come down.
Yeah, and it's just basically mano a mano at this point. It looks like Dario Raps and Summerhill have kind of just, looked at each other to go out. Bourgogne is back in it, following the cliff. Family Drifter's a rider across to that.
Well, Burgoyne's trying, but he needs some help. Like he needs his team around him in order to help get him there, because he's not going to have a sprint left if he doesn't have the opportunity. Here we go. We got Carpenter, Garrison, now the field right behind Brunner. Eric Brunner, your cyclocross national champion, is leading that chase with Brody McDonald, who finished on the podium on Friday night. There's Brody out of the saddle. Clever Martinez, your winner at Athens Twilight Criterium this year, also on that wheel. We have ourselves an absolute dogfight. Alec Briggs is also now into the mix. Again, a phenomenal bike handler in the mix, in the rain, here on the final night of racing at St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
And you can see Robin just gritting his teeth, and it's just, you try to make...
Brody. Sorry.
Find the absolute limit under the suffering, and look at those.
Yeah, ice skates. We got skates here. We got guys. This is going to open up gaps. Dario Raps is now off the pace. Raps is gingerly riding his way around this corner. Dario Raps will not win this race.
Where's Jordan Parra?
One lap to go. One to go. We got one final lap to go.
Who's on the back of this group? Is that the bikers guy right behind the green jersey? Is that Jordan Parra?
That is Parra.
So if he wins, how many guys do we need to put in between him and Dario Raps to upset the GC and just absolutely bananas finish. He's not going to go
I'm
3
not
for
quite
3,
sure.
but can this GC be turned upside down?
Perhaps. Here goes Brody McDonald up through Crybaby Hill. He's had his opportunity. Here he goes. Brody McDonald now out of the saddle for Golden State Blazers. As he lifts, he's got Clever Martinez trying to give chase here. Can he get there? Can he be the one to get himself to the finish line first? McDonald now going to come down through the dip on the far side of the course. This is going to be the final lift up through. You can see the riders on the side of the front. This is Brody McDonald solo. Brody McDonald solo. Can he get himself to the finish line and take one of the biggest wins of his career? He slipped a little bit on the last time around. Can McDonald take it all the way to the line through the finish line? Here we go. Big lift. It's Preston I, it looks like, trying to get himself up on top of the gear. We're going to look up to the hill here. We have Brody McDonald trying to get himself there. McDonald with the gap. McDonald now approaching a crucial right-hand turn. McDonald gets himself through. He's on the power. McDonald now sprints. McDonald now tries to lift. He's got Alec Briggs chasing him down with Preston I, but McDonald might have the gap. He looks through the legs. Brody McDonald of Golden State Blazers is going to win here, your third day of St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
How many guys in between Brody McDonald and Dario Raps? I mean, absolutely heads up racing by Brody. Goes super, super long for that. Backs himself, doubles down, trusts his ability to just go from that far out. Look at Garrison just buried himself to stay in that front group. But how many guys between Brody McDonald and
we were wrong. That's Juan Arango.
Yeah. So now it's Brody McDonald is the next guy in line to upset that GC. How many guys? How many guys between him and Raps? What were the points there? And you can see right around this, right here is Brody McDonald just goes all in perfectly around this corner by doing it. Then he makes Clever, put him in position going around Robin Carpenter, just open up a small gap. And these guys, even it's 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1 versus 1 here.
Yeah.
You know, there's no hiding. There's no draft to be had.
That was a phenomenal just reaction by McDonald. Here he comes through the final turn. He slid here on the lap before this, coming into 1 to go. He slid right there on that white paint. This time he did not. He got onto the power quickly. He rides into the gear. He stays out of the saddle, driving power all the way through because he knows that right behind him is Alec Briggs and Preston I. And he lifts all the way to the finish line, and Brody McDonald takes the biggest win of his career by taking the third stage of the St. Francis Tulsa Tough.
Oh, and Alec Briggs, I mean, just what a tough one after last night, putting himself, you know, a little too far back here, you know, drops his head knowing that he missed an opportunity with his bike handling skills to be a part of that. But Brody McDonald at his age just showed, you know, veteran maneuvering, just head cool, just absolutely all day today. Head cool. His teammates went up there, did the work for him, took a large majority of that gap out of the front to put him in this position.
We're going to be doing some math here. I feel really bad for Briggsy here today because he is